Today we are recreating two shots, one from The Master and one from Good Time. If you haven't seen one or either of those films, do that immediately because they are amazing. There's no spoilers in this episode, so no worries there, but mama, so good.
So good. It's so good.
As always, we do need to show some love to Lawrence Sher. We got this idea from him on his Instagram, and he's incredible, so definitely check that out in the links below. And I love doing these episodes because you're really exploring visual ideas, and it's great practice in doing a lot with a little, like how we turned this into this last time, replicating that alien shot. But for these two films, of course, first we have to choose our shots. And as always, I'm jumping over to Shot Deck to search through the films, and we arrived on this one from The Master and this one from Good Time. If you aren't on Shot Deck, you absolutely should be. As I say every time, it's a godsend for filmmakers. Recently, they saw us showering them with love and were cool enough to give you all a coupon code for a discount to get Shot Deck. So check the links in the notes below. Use our code FilmRiot to get a percentage off. And by the way, we make no money from that at all. I pay for my subscription full price too. I just love it that much.
So good. It's so good.
But let's start with The Master. We've got a few musts here. The backdrop, which thankfully we have one that's somewhat similar already. The table, which we don't have. And those can lights, which again, we do. So the first thing we had to do was head over to a local thrift store where we were able to find a table and chair that felt like they fit the right vibe, even though they definitely aren't exact. And that cost us 30 bucks. So we set those up in the studio in front of our backdrop. The table was also a bit short, so we raised that up on a couple of Apple boxes to get more to a proper height. Then we grabbed some stands and propped our can lights on there in similar spots in frame, which we're going to be adjusting that continuously until we shoot. Then to light the backdrop, we use this par light here, and this is pulling double duty, lighting the background while also giving us a shadow on the wall, since we weren't able to get that organically from this can light thanks to our room setup. After that, we tossed in two iCan striders. One is Josh's key and the other to bring up what this back can light is doing. And as you can see, the shot from The Master is very contrasty, so we tossed up some negative fill opposite the key to help keep that nice and dark. And that was basically it. After that, it was just a ton of tweaks to try to get it as close as possible. And because why not, we sprayed Josh's hair a little bit blonde, sort of, not exactly, but kind of. I mean, it didn't really work out very well, but I mean, it's the effort that counts. But even still, in the end, we did end up with a few issues. First was the fact that we didn't have a suit that fit Josh and was the right color, and our backdrop wasn't as long as we needed, so we ended up seeing off to the side. After some attempts to fix this, I just decided to fix it in post. And in post, the first thing I'm going to fix are the sides here. To do that, I just exported a frame, took that into Photoshop, selected these areas, and used content-aware fill. Then I could bring that back into Premiere, mask around the center where Josh is moving, and there you go. Next, I color matched as much as possible, and then I'm going to finish off in Film Convert's Nitrate, which Film Convert is also today's partner. But I'll toss on Nitrate and immediately it's doing a lot for us. But if we go back to Shot Deck and click on this shot, we get a ton of info about the film, including what camera and lenses, and the reason we are here, what film stock they used. So now I can jump back to Film Convert and we see the 5213 here, and I can come down to tweak my settings further, and I can add more or less grain, adjust the grain size, or soften the image a bit. Then we have this curve here that will allow us to get more specific on where we want the grain more or less heavy, in the midtones, the shadows, and the highlights. And you have a bunch of film stocks to choose from, some Kodak, Fuji, and some great black and white options. In fact, if you've seen black and white from us on the show, you can pretty much guarantee it's from this. Or we can come up and select different types of grain, from 8mm to 16mm up to 35mm full frame, each giving us a very different look. This is easily my favorite grain emulator, and I'm sure you can see why, but we can continue to refine in here, like adjusting the amount of chroma and luma, or jumping down further and getting more granular into the color with their color wheels, curves, and levels. Film Convert's also having a Black Friday sale right now with up to 50% all of their products, so if you did want to get your hands on Nitrate or any of their other goodies, now is the time. But after a few more tweaks to the image, we had our final look, and honestly, this one was the toughest we've done yet, which is very surprising. There's something about the simplicity that made it much more difficult to really match perfectly, but I do think we got the feel in there pretty well. But let's move on to our next shot, and that is this moment from Good Time. And here's what we ended up with which if we zoomed out, it looked like this. We decided to shoot this one in our garage, that way we could open the door to see outside and use that as our back window while still having our actor inside the garage in shadow without being in an actual car. The first thing we wanted to get up here were the bars that you see in the car. For that, we grabbed some cardboard and cut out a few strips that we could then glue together in a similar pattern as what you see in the cop car. Then we just painted it black and secured it on some C-stands. In the actual shot, we can see here that he has a very warm top light there, so we grabbed our can light from the other shot, tossed it on a $20 dimmer, and added a gel to warm the light up a little more. We also found this black metal bar lying around the office that we propped up behind him, and for the seats, we used these Velcro dividers that we tossed on stands to work in and match the placement as closely as we could from the original shot. For the back window, we used the same clear plastic poster frames that we did from that old shot. We placed that in the back, but we weren't getting much texture out of it, so I used some of our haze spray to fog out the edges just a touch so we could feel that a little bit more. Now, if we watch the original shot in motion, you are feeling these strobing cop lights, so we grabbed some of our tube lights, set those to the cop light effect, and positioned them so they would hit the bottom of that black bar in the back. Finally, we grabbed this long blonde wig that we cut up to match the vibe of Pattinson's hair from the original. Again, not in camera, it looks shockingly ridiculous, but in camera, it's doing what we needed, albeit still a little bit ridiculous. But the last thing to do was wait for the sun to get low enough so the background wasn't too bright and was giving us a nice blue to match the original shot, and we were done. And just like before, I'm jumping into post, and again, I'm going to match my color first, then I'm going to jump into film convert. If we look at the info from the shot on shot deck, this is shot on film again, and this one was 5219 and 5207, which we do have 5207 here in nitrate, so I'll toss that on, and it's getting us closer already, but we'll do a little more. And if we look at the original shot, it's pretty heavy on the grain, so we can go into comparison view here and keep toying around with our grain settings until we land on something that's feeling really close. And I just love grain. I love how organic it feels. I love how it does a great job bringing the image together, especially on a visual effects shot, but it also helps you move away from some more uglier digital looks. Like the softness function, for instance, just adding the slightest bit of blur does a great deal for me. Granted, I'm someone who loves to dirty up the image a lot, but still, you have to admit that grain is kind of beautiful. But now that we're happy with the grain, like before, we're going to continue to tweak our color until we land on something that's feeling really good, and we have this. Now for me, neither of these shots are matching perfectly, but we were really focusing on trying to get the feel of the shots and doing it as DIY as we could. It's always shocking to see the types of things that you can get away with when you use the right tricks, like the cardboard pieces for bars. Another interesting lesson or reminder out of this one for me was how little you need to make something read on camera. These flashing lights in the back are really only hitting the very bottom of this bar and only slightly, but for me, it completely reads as we need it. So as always, give this stuff a shot for yourself. It's a ton of fun to do, and it's really useful to toy around with ideas and strengthen others that maybe you already had. Links to everything in the notes below, including Film Convert's Black Friday sale. They were a partner on today's episode, but we have been saying for years how Film Convert touches pretty much every image we make, so definitely grab that while it's 50% off. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.